Okay.
Our first story takes us to Seattle, where there was protests on Inauguration Day yesterday. We have some video on that. But before I start that, there's a couple of things I want to say. The first thing I want to say is, if you want to help out Malcontent News, here's what you can do. Like, follow, share, watch party. If you're not sharing this, share it out. Amplify the voice. Get more eyeballs seeing our content. The next thing is, reminder, our mods and admins are paid with hearts. They're not paid with anything else. So if you are on Twitter, Periscope, Facebook, spam those hearts. Let those mods and admins know that you really love and appreciate the hard work you do. If you are on Twitch or YouTube, you can just go, thank you, mods, or a big long line of hearts. They love that stuff. And they work hard so that Jennifer and I don't have to see some of the shit show comments that get out there. Although I have a feeling it's going to be a little calmer tonight, Jennifer.
Yeah, I agree. I loved the comment that said, "Oh my God, Jennifer is moving." Yeah.
I think you might be dropping 1 or 2 frames every minute here, but it is a lot better than what it was. So yes, we did some tech work, Jennifer and I, and her image is a lot better today and also a lot clearer. So we are close to dealing with those issues. Yeah, there were Inauguration Day protests. There were protests both from the left and the right across the United States. But the two that are grabbing the headlines are the ones that happened in Portland and the ones that happened in Seattle. Renee Raketty, our field producer, caught part of the Seattle protest later in the day. She's produced a video. We have a story up. We have a library of her pictures, malcontentnews.com. Just a reminder, on the Google News app, photo libraries, none of the photo libraries that are available out there in the universe that use Google AMP work. So if you want to see the photo library, you're going to have to access the website through a web browser. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and roll Renee's clip, Jennifer.
Okay.
Oh, actually, before I do that, little caveat. I stopped the clip. We're going to restart here in a second. This is going to show some scenes of police violence and protest. So there's a little bit of a trigger warning for our audience. If that is something you don't want to see, go find something else to do for about 90 seconds.
We have to clear the arrests that are being made. Or result in serious injury. If you remain in the area just described, regardless of your purpose, you will be in violation of city and state law. The following routes of dispersal are available for you. Continue to go northbound on Lenora. Continue to go westbound, correction, eastbound on Lenora. Continue to go northbound on westbound.
Keep walking! Keep walking! Leave the area!
To the east of western Lenora Street, to immediately disperse and leave the area. If you do not do so, you may be arrested or subject to other police action. Other police action would include the use of chemical agents or less lethal munitions, which may inflict significant pain or result in serious injury. You can continue to go eastbound on Lenora Street. You can go northbound on First Avenue or southbound on First Avenue. You have 3 minutes to disperse. Factors in the crowd have caused significant property damage.
I'm an old man. I don't remember none anymore. It's not a thing. You know, they just made it off of it next. The wife got it.
A lot to unpack, Jennifer,
Yeah.
as we like to say during happy hour.
Mm-hmm. Yes, a lot to unpack there. Wow. That tasing was something.
Yeah, according to the Seattle Police Department, because there were questions raised about that action yesterday, when I initially heard reports that the individual was tased while they were being pinned, I was a little confused by that because when somebody is tased, if they're pinned, then the people that are pinning them risk getting, because the way electricity travels, risk getting shocked also. So what the police did, it is a de-escalation technique, according to the Seattle Police Department, to kind of do when you do the energizing test on the taser. It's part of the, oh no, we're really serious. We're going to tase you if you don't comply with us. I am not defending SPD's actions, so people don't read into that. Neither am I condemning SPD. I am just telling people what Seattle police said was there. That's why they did what they did in that video. That this is an appropriate de-escalation technique.
Really? Because it looks like maybe kind of overcompensating or, show of authority when you have somebody already pinned down by what looked like 4 police officers to break out your taser and kind of charge it up by them. But that's just my personal opinion.
They looked pretty subdued at that point and had been subdued for a while. Now, part that we didn't catch, because as you see in that video, Renee, our field producer, is right by the LRAD vehicle. That's part of the reason why that audio is just as little rough. Is it was as loud as you think it sounds, and listening to that.
Wow.
And she is quite a distance. One of these things they say is don't interfere with the arrest. So Renee then had to go further up to get to where that arrest was going. Eyewitnesses say, we close with that picture that Renee got of the knee clearly on the neck of that individual. Eyewitnesses there told Renee, including people that we trust, that we've interviewed in the past, said it was more than a minute that the knee was on the neck of that individual. It's my understanding, maybe somebody could put it in the comments, because I'm just going to say it's my understanding that Seattle police are not allowed to do knees to the neck. But I could be wrong on that.
Yeah, I don't know definitively, but that's a long time to have the weight of somebody on your neck. And like I said, it looked to be there was at least 4 officers pinning this individual down. So yeah, if that's not excessive, I don't know what is.
Seattle police arrested 3 people last night. About 100 people were participating in this action. Because I don't know what else to call it, right? I'm probably going to piss off some watchers tonight. It didn't feel like a protest to me. It just kind of felt, and I don't want to use, there's a word in my brain and it's not the right word either. And it's just, I don't know how to label it. Like when we were writing the news story, I know that I had a very hard time, because there wasn't even a clear message. It's like, it's anti-capitalism, anti-government. We're not happy Joe Biden got elected, because we wouldn't be happy with anybody who got elected because we don't like the government. And I know there was similar actions in Portland where the Democratic headquarters was attacked down in Portland yesterday, roughly at the same time the action was happening in Seattle.
I think it's interesting because a lot of stuff I see is that people are, very much concerned that Joe Biden represents more of the same. And so there are a lot of people that are worried that because we've gone from such a tumultuous presidency to something that seems a little more normal or calm, that people are going to get complacent and not push for the same kind of change. And I feel like some of that is where that angst is coming from. I'm not, defending or whatever one way or the other, but I think I'm just, from what I've been seeing, that's where that angst is coming from, is that, people can't get complacent now because things feel normal or back to status quo. And so there are some people that are really uneasy that if you sit too long, that's going to happen.
And I have some agreement with that, because I've seen in my circles some people who are very comfortable in their white suburban life are kind of like problem solved. And it's like problems aren't solved. And there's people who saw on our either on our Twitter or our Instagram or our Facebook yesterday something that I wrote that institutional racism still exists. Nothing is really resolved here. Joe Biden's president, but that didn't fix anything. It stopped our hurtling to fascism, which is a good thing. There's no question about that. And nor am I jumping up and down here going, why hasn't Joe Biden done everything in, what, about 32 hours?
Yeah. I think the thing is, though, I think people saw how quickly we could tip towards fascism in the course of 4 years. So I think there's always going to be that concern there that, that scale could tip again in 2024. So people are really kind of quick to, or not quick to like judge what's happening, but really more cautious about sitting too long and letting that potentially happen again.
Callie C, one of our malcontents, and I also believe a part-time streamer, is reading from an OPA report that was from May about a knee on the neck. Officer in that case, knee on the neck for approximately 13 seconds. And the OPA concluded that the use of force was found to be improper and inconsistent with SBD policy and training. So that is for 13 seconds. So I would say we're probably looking at another OPA complaint.
Yeah, SPD is, keeping them numbers up in January, right?
I'm coughing again in the middle of the show. Yes, SPD is, they are racking up the hits, to say the least. There's another thing I want to say, and I want to be really clear with this, especially with, I don't want to say the chuds, because generally chuds just come in, raise trouble, and leave. But for the people that are more on the right here, I have defended right-wing protesters. I've actually defended Katie Davis Court on this show when she was maced for absolutely no reason, and I witnessed her being targeted and maced. If this was the Republican headquarters in Portland that had their windows and all smashed out, I would say the exact same thing. No. No. That is political intimidation. You can be mad at the system, but as far as I'm concerned, political offices it's just like the press. Those should be off limits. I was very disappointed when I saw that. I mean, I get the rage, I get the anger, I get the fear, and I get the concern, and I get that they're all in deep with the corporations. I won't deny any of that.
Yeah.
But there's no reason to attack somebody in the press, whether you're on the left or the right, because the press are there with their First Amendment rights. There is no reason to attack a political office because that is just intimidation.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think there's so much, like, I'm not defending it either. But I mean, I think I think one of the things too is it gives Republicans more fuel to be like, oh, Democrats aren't, calling out the violence in Seattle and Portland. And I think that, again, it just goes back to that angst of things still aren't where they need to be. And, you have a lot of white people who are like, yeah, let's just go back to brunch now because Biden's president and everything will be better.
Dora says that this type of violence is a symptom of the sickness within our system. It's a profound comment.
Yeah, very much so.
The other thing I will just close, and we'll move to the next segment, is Portland police and the feds in Portland went batshit crazy yesterday. We shared some of the stream from Boop Troop on our channel last night. It was almost an hour of continuous less lethal and tear gas down there. And some of the stuff we shared from Boop Troop, I mean, it sounded like a war zone. It sounded like Beirut or Iraq.
It's like they never learned anything from over the summer. My daughter had actually gone down there for part of the time and attended one of the protests. And she's 16. She got tear gassed. They were just like, I mean, it was insane down there. And I think it's just, I don't know. I think they let this ongoing narrative that's often pushed by conservatives and the far right that, it's basically Portland and Seattle are, completely anarchist and on fire, dictate how they respond.
Yeah, absolutely. And I bring that up because I want to say, because a lot of people like, well, what about the actions, right? In Portland, I'm talking about actions of protest. What about the actions that it was not proportional to, especially if we gauge by federal response to people storming the Capitol on January 6th. If we look at it through that lens, it was so not proportional in Portland.
No, not at all.
The other thing in Portland is that they use outdated tear gas munitions, and those outdated munitions release heavy metals and create chemicals that are actually closer to. Tear gas is a chemical weapon, but they create actually older ones. The way they interact, the ingredients with them create gases that are closer to like true battlefield chemical weapons, not a crowd control chemical weapon.
Wow, that's insane.
And so on that, I think we will do a little pause for the cause, and then we'll go to our next story.
Okay.
Hi, Malcontents. I'm David, the Malcontent, and I'd like to talk to you for a moment about supporting independent media. When you support us, you help us bring the before, during, and after. You help us defend the First Amendment. You help us amplify BIPOC and LGBTQIA voices, and you help us hold leaderships at a local, state, and federal level accountable. None of this would be possible without support by viewers just like you. When you become a patron for as little as $5 a month, you help buy technology, safety equipment, and help cover travel expenses so that we can continue to bring you news that you trust. If you can't become a patron, you can do a one-time donation on Venmo, and your dollars will go to the exact same causes. With your continued support, we can continue to amplify BIPOC and LGBTQIA voices while showing the truth on what is happening in the world around us. Once again, thank you.
George Floyd! George Floyd! All of that medical aid I initially kind of came in and said, hey, we're going to have to start moving people. And then a couple other people came in and we were like, wow, this exploded fast.